The forbidden world. The transport shuttle hummed as it descended through Valent's violet atmosphere, and Dr. Ethan Cross pressed his forehead against the window. Watching clouds swirl like watercolor paint beneath them, "You understand the terms," the pilot said without looking back. 48 hours. No contact with the local population beyond your assigned guide. No photographs of sacred sites, I understand, Ethan replied, though his heart hammered with anticipation. Spent 3 years requesting this visit, arguing that humanity needed to understand the Valenia before attempting any formal alliance. The Galactic Council had finally relented. But barely the shuttle touched down on a landing platform that seemed to grow directly from the planet's crystalline surface. And when the hatch opened, Thun's breath caught. The air tasted like ozone and honey. Before him stretched a city that defied Earth architecture. Buildings curved and spiraled upward like frozen music, their surfaces embedded with thousands of tiny crystals that pulsed with soft bioluminescence. "Dr. Cross," a voice said. And he turned. She stood at the base of the ramp, hands clasped before her in what he recognized as a formal Vailani greeting posture. Her skin was a deep purple that seemed to shift in the light. Her hair fell in midnight waves to her shoulders, and her eyes held depths that reminded him of nebulas he'd seen through telescopes. "I'm Kaya Ren," she continued, her English flawless though accented with something musical. "I've been assigned as your cultural liaison." Ethan descended the ramp, hyper-aware of protocol, and mimicked her greeting gesture. "Thank you for having me," he said. "I know my presence here is controversial." Something flickered across her face. "Too quick to read. Controversial is one word for it," she replied, then turned. "Please follow me. We have much to discuss before tomorrow's ceremonies." They walked through streets that seemed to hum beneath their feet, and Ethan tried not to stare at the Vailani they passed. All moved with a grace that seemed almost choreographed, and many wore jewelry made from the same crystals that decorated the buildings. "The crystals," he ventured. "They're alive somehow, aren't they?" Kaya glanced at him, surprised. "You can feel that?" "I can hear something," Ethan admitted, "like singing." Just below hearing, she stopped walking. "Studied him with those impossible eyes. That's unusual," she said slowly. "Most humans hear nothing at all. Is it a problem?" "I don't know yet," Kaya said. But her voice held something new, curiosity perhaps, or concern. They reached a building that spiraled higher than the others, its entrance flanked by 2 massive crystal formations that pulsed in rhythm with each other. "This is the Hall of Remembrance," Kaya explained. "Tomorrow, you'll observe the binding ceremony, where new diplomatic bonds are formed between our world and others. But tonight, you must rest and prepare." "Prepare how?" Ethan asked. Kaya hesitated, and for the first time, he saw uncertainty cross her features. "The crystals respond to emotion," she said carefully. "Especially strong emotion. You must learn to quiet your mind, to observe without feeling too deeply. And if I can't, then the ceremony could be dangerous," Kaya said. "For both of us." That night, in quarters that overlooked the glowing city, Ethan lay awake and listened to the singing crystals, and tried to understand why Kaya's warning had sounded less like a threat and more like a promise. Asterisk. The accidental binding morning light on Velenth came in shades of amber and rose, and Ethan woke to find Kaya waiting outside his quarters, wearing ceremonial robes that shimmered with embedded crystal threads. "You look nervous," she observed. "I am," Ethan admitted. "I've never been invited to something like this before." "No human has," Kaya said quietly, then added, "Try to remain calm during the ceremony. The crystals will be active." Highly receptive, they walked together through streets now filled with Vailani dressed in formal attire, all moving toward the Hall of Remembrance. And Ethan noticed how others watched them, some with curiosity, many with disapproval. "They don't want me here," he said. "They fear what they don't understand," Kaya replied. "And you are very much unknown." The hall's interior took his breath away. The ceiling soared hundreds of feet above them, its surface covered entirely in crystals that reflected light in impossible patterns. In the center stood a circular platform surrounded by pedestals, each holding a different crystal ring. "The binding ceremony connects diplomatic representatives through thought resonance," Kaya explained as they took their positions in the observation circle. "The rings choose their bearers, creating temporary mental links that ensure honesty in negotiations." "Temporary," Ethan repeated. "They dissolve after the diplomatic term ends," Kaya said. but something in her tone suggested complexity she wasn't sharing, though. Ceremony began with harmonized singing that made the crystals vibrate, and Ethan felt the sound in his chest like a second heartbeat. Velani diplomats stepped forward, and rings lifted from pedestals to settle on their fingers. Glowing briefly before dimming to a soft pulse, Ethan tried to remain still, to observe without feeling. But the beauty of it overwhelmed him, the trust it represented, the vulnerability of opening one's mind to another. And then he felt Kaya tense beside him. One ring, ancient and ornate, had begun to glow brighter than the others. It trembled on its pedestal, and the singing faltered as everyone turned to watch. No, Kaya whispered, "That's impossible." The ring shot forward like a comet, and before Ethan could move, it slammed onto his right hand. Burning cold and hot simultaneously, pain exploded through his mind. Then pleasure, then everything at once. He heard screaming, realized it was his own voice, and then suddenly there were other thoughts in his head that weren't his terror. Shock, fascination, desire. "Kaya," he gasped, and knew somehow that these feelings were hers. She stood frozen, her hand raised as though reaching for something, and her eyes were wide with horror. The soul ring. Someone shouted, "It's chosen the human." The hall erupted in chaos. But Ethan couldn't focus on anything except the overwhelming presence of Kaya's consciousness pressed against his own. He felt her panic, her confusion, and beneath it all, a loneliness so profound it made him want to weep. "Get it off him," Elder Velani commanded. "We can't," another replied. "The soul ring has bonded. Only death breaks it, then he must die." "No." Kaya's voice cut through the chaos like crystal, and Ethan felt her speaking, felt her deciding something irrevocable. "The bond is formed by our oldest law. He is mine to guide." She moved to him, and when she took his ringed hand in hers, the connection stabilized, became less chaotic. Their eyes met, and Ethan heard her voice in his mind, clear as spoken words. "I'm sorry," she thought at him. "I should have known the soul ring would sense you. What does this mean?" he thought back. Amazed that it worked. "It means," Kaya said aloud, her hand still holding his, "that for better or worse, we are bound. What I feel, what you think." "I hear forever," someone said. "Making it sound like a curse forever," Kaya confirmed, and threw their link. Ethan felt her fear transform slowly into something else, something that felt almost like hope. Learning to listen, the council confined them to Kaya's residence while they debated what to do about the impossible bond. And Ethan discovered that sharing a mind was nothing like he'd imagined. "Can you hear this?" he thought, sitting across from her in a room filled with softly glowing crystals. "Yes," Kaya answered aloud, then winced. "But please, speak with your voice when you can." "The mental channel is still raw, sorry," Ethan said, flexing his ringed hand. The crystal had settled into his skin somehow, becoming part of him. "How long does the adjustment take?" "I don't know," Kaya admitted. "The soul ring hasn't bonded with anyone in 3 generations. My grandmother was the last. She bonded with another Velani who understood the risks, and now you're stuck with a human who doesn't understand anything." Ethan, said Kaya, looked at him. Really looked, and he felt her attention like warmth against his skin. "You understand more than you think," she said softly. "I can feel your curiosity, your genuine desire to learn. It's refreshing, compared to what she hesitated, and Ethan felt walls in her mind. Places she was trying to keep him from seeing. "You don't have to hide from me," he said gently. "I know this bond wasn't your choice, but I promise I won't abuse it." Something in Kaya's defenses crumbled. And suddenly, Ethan was flooded with memories that weren't his own. He saw Kaya as a child, training to be a ring bearer. Learning to control her empathic abilities, he felt her loneliness. Always sensing others' emotions, but never quite connecting. Always apart, always watching, he saw suitors who wanted her for status. Colleagues who feared her abilities. A lifetime of being simultaneously sought after and isolated. "Oh, Kaya," he whispered. "Don't pity me," she said sharply. Pulling back, "I don't," Ethan replied. "I understand. I've spent my whole life studying connection. While being terrified of actually forming one now, it was her turn to be surprised. And before he could stop it, His own memories spilled through their link-fouled relationships because he analyzed instead of feeling. Nights spent with books instead of people. Choosing the safety of observation over the risk of participation. You're lonely too, Kaya said. Wonder in her voice desperately, Ethan admitted they sat in silence, both processing what they'd learned. And then Kaya did something unexpected. She moved to sit beside him. Close enough that their shoulders touched, the physical contact amplified their bond. And suddenly, Ethan could feel everything she was feeling. Curiosity about his touch. Fear of vulnerability. And beneath it all, a growing attraction she was trying desperately to ignore. I can feel that, he said quietly. I know, Kaya replied. I can feel yours too, his heart raced, and he knew she felt that as well. Knew there was no hiding anymore. This is terrifying, he said. Yes, Kaya agreed. Then added, but also exhilarating, she turned to face him, and her hand came up to touch his face, the gesture tentative. Exploratory. I've never let anyone this close, she confessed. Neither have I. Ethan said their faces were inches apart now, and through the bond. Ethan felt her desire mixing with his own, until he couldn't tell where his feelings ended, and hers began. Kaya. I feel it too. When their lips met, the bond exploded into light. Every nerve in Ethan's body sang with sensation, doubled, tripled, reflected back through their connection. He felt his own kiss, from her perspective, felt her pleasure at his touch. Tasted himself through her senses. It was overwhelming and perfect and terrifying all at once. They broke apart. Both breathing hard. That was. Ethan started intense. Kaya finished. The bond amplifies everything between us. Is it always like that? I don't know, she said. And through their link he felt her honesty. I've never kissed anyone while bonded before. Should we do it again? Ethan asked. For research purposes, Kaya laughed, a sound like crystal chimes, and pulled him close. Definitely for research, she agreed this time when they kissed. Ethan let himself fall into the sensation, into the impossible intimacy of feeling her feelings while she felt his. They held each other as the crystals around them glowed brighter, responding to their shared emotion outside. The council was debating their fate, but in that moment, neither of them cared. They had found something rare, a connection that transcended species and protocol and fear. They had found each other. Asterisk. The price of connection. 3 days passed in a blur of shared consciousness and stolen moments. And Ethan learned that loving someone through a soul-ring bond meant experiencing their joy and pain as if it were his own. The council summons us, Kaya said one morning. Her mental voice tight with anxiety. Ethan felt her dread like ice water in his veins, reached for her hand. Whatever happens, we face it together, he said. That's what I'm afraid of. She replied. They walked through the crystal halls toward the council chamber. And Ethan noticed how other Velani watched them with mixtures of fascination and fear. Some whispered as they passed. Others simply stared. They think we're an abomination. Kaya thought at him. Are we? Ethan asked gently. I don't know anymore, she admitted. All I know is that I've never felt this complete. The council chamber was a massive dome filled with elder Velani, all wearing robes embedded with ancient crystals. At the center stood High Chancellor Vane, her purple skin darker than Kaya's. Her eyes cold with judgment. Kaya Ren, the Chancellor began. You stand accused of failing to prevent a forbidden bonding the Soul Ring chose, Kaya replied. Voice steady despite the fear Ethan felt coursing through her. I had no power to stop it, yet you accepted the bond, another elder said. You could have requested immediate severance. Severance requires death, Kaya shot back. Would you have me murder an innocent diplomat? He is human, Vane said, as if that explained everything. His kind are not meant to carry our sacred bonds. Ethan felt rage building in Kaya. Felt her struggle to contain it. Please, he spoke up. I never intended to cause problems. If there's a way to remove the ring without harming either of us, I'll do it. The council members exchanged glances. And Ethan felt Kaya's sudden spike of terror. There is one way, Vane said slowly, the cleansing. It severs the bond completely. What's the cost? Kaya demanded. Your memories of each other, the Chancellor replied. The ring will remove itself, and neither of you will remember this connection ever existed. Ethan felt the words like a physical blow. Kaya. And through their bond, He experienced Kaya's devastation, as if it were his own. "No," he said automatically. "It's the only way," Vane continued. "You have until sunset tomorrow to decide bond severance or exile from Velenth." Forever they were dismissed. And Kaya practically ran from the chamber, Ethan following. Feeling her panic through their connection like thunder in his skull, Shay led him to her private quarters and sealed the door. Then turned to him with tears streaming down her purple cheeks. "I can't forget you," she said, voice breaking. "Ethan, I can't." He pulled her close and through their bond. He felt every layer of her anguish. "Then we don't let them take this," he said. "Exile means we can never return," Kaya said. "I would lose my home, my culture. Everything I've known I know," Ethan said. "And I won't ask you to make that sacrifice, but I can't lose you either." She whispered against his chest. They held each other as the crystals around them pulsed with their shared emotions. Grief and love and desperate hope all tangled together. "There might be another way," Kaya said suddenly. "Pulling back the singing caves where the first soul rings were created. Legend says the original crystal consciousness still lives there. What could it do?" Ethan asked. "I don't know," Kaya admitted. "But if any power in this world can help us, it would be there. The council won't let us go then. We don't ask permission," Kaya said, and through their bond. Ethan felt her resolve crystallize into determination. "You want to run," he said. "I want to fight for us," she corrected. "The singing caves are 3 days' journey into the wilderness. If we leave now, we might reach them before the council realizes we're gone." Ethan looked at her. This woman who had opened her mind and heart to him, who was willing to risk everything for a bond neither of them had chosen, but both now cherished. "Then let's go," he said. They packed quickly, taking only essentials, and as night fell over Velenth, they slipped from the city like shadows behind them. The crystal towers glowed in the darkness ahead. Lay wilderness, danger, and possibly their only hope. "I'm scared," Kaya thought at him. "As they ran me too," Ethan replied. "But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you." Through their bond, he felt her love surge like starlight, and together they disappeared into the night. 2 souls, 1 choice. The singing caves rose from the wilderness like frozen music. Massive crystal formations that hummed with a frequency Ethan felt in his bones. And beside him, Kaya stood trembling with exhaustion and awe. "We made it," she whispered. 3 days of running, hiding from search parties, sleeping in each other's arms while their bond grew stronger with every shared heartbeat. And now they faced whatever ancient power lived in these caves. "Can you hear it?" Ethan asked. "The singing, it's so much louder here. The original consciousness," Kaya said. "My grandmother told stories. She said it speaks to those who are truly bonded." They entered the caves hand in hand, and immediately the world transformed around them. Crystals lined every surface, pulsing with light that seemed to come from within. And the singing grew so loud it became almost visible, rippling through the air like water. "Welcome, little ones," a voice said. "Everywhere and nowhere at once," Kaya gasped. Squeezed Ethan's hand tighter. "We seek your guidance," she called out. "The council wants to sever our bond, I know," the voice replied. "I have felt your connection since the moment it formed. Such brightness, such rare and beautiful synchronicity. Then you can help us," Ethan said. "Hopefully I can offer you a choice," the consciousness said. And suddenly the crystals around them flared brilliant white. "The same choice I offered the very first bonded pair. Millennia ago, the light coalesced into images, showing them to paths in the first. They saw themselves separated, the ring removed, memories faded. Kaya returned to her diplomatic duties. Alone again, but safe, Ethan back on Earth. Forever feeling like something was missing, but never knowing what. In the second path, they saw themselves transformed. The bond completed fully, becoming something new. Neither fully Vailani, nor fully human, but something in between. Something that could never return to either world unchanged. The first path is forgetting, the voice said. Safety through severance, and the second, Kaya asked, though through their bond. Ethan felt she already knew the second is transcendence. The consciousness replied, "You become the bridge between your peoples. The living proof that connection transcends biology. But the transformation is permanent, irreversible. You would be forever changed. Ethan looked at Kaya, and through their bond, he felt her wrestling with the magnitude of the choice. "What does transcendence mean?" he asked. "Specifically, your bond would become unbreakable," the voice explained. "Your thoughts would be permanently intertwined. You would age at the same rate. Feel each other's pain and joy as your own, in every meaningful way. You would become two halves of one soul." "That sounds terrifying," Kaya said. "It is." The consciousness agreed. True intimacy always is. They stood in silence, hands clasped, and Ethan realized he could feel every doubt, every fear, every desperate hope running through Kaya's mind. "I need to know," Kaya said quietly, turning to face him. "If we weren't bonded, if you had a choice without the ring influencing your feelings, would you still choose me?" Ethan felt the vulnerability in her question, the fear that their love was artificial, manufactured by alien technology. "The ring doesn't create feelings," he said gently. "It only amplifies what's already there. And Kaya, what I feel for you, this connection we've built, it's the most real thing I've ever experienced, but you'd be giving up your whole world." She said no, Ethan corrected. "I'd be choosing a new one, with you in it through their bond." He felt her defenses finally crumble completely, felt the depth of her love for him. Raw and overwhelming and absolutely real. "I choose you," Kaya said, tears streaming down her face. "I choose us, then we choose transcendence," Ethan said to the consciousness. "So be it." The voice replied. The crystals around them exploded into light, and Ethan felt the bond expanding, deepening, becoming something fundamental to his existence. He felt Kaya's consciousness merging more fully with his own, felt their thoughts beginning to harmonize like the singing crystals around them. Pain and pleasure crashed through them both, and they clung to each other as their bodies began to change. Ethan felt his skin taking on a faint purple sheen, felt new neural pathways forming in his brain, felt himself becoming more than he. Vaskaya gasped as her own transformation took hold, her features softening slightly, her consciousness expanding to accommodate human emotional patterns she'd never fully understood beforehand. Then it was done. They stood in the cave, changed, but still themselves. And when Ethan looked at Kaya, he saw her more clearly than ever before. "I can feel everything," she whispered. Wonder in her voice. "Me too," Ethan said. "It's like we're one person in two bodies." "That's exactly what you are now," the consciousness said, "the first of a new kind. Go forth and show both your peoples what connection truly means." They emerged from the caves as dawn broke over Velenth, and found a council search party waiting. But when the Velani saw them, saw the transformation, they fell silent. "What have you done?" Chancellor Vane breathed. "We chose each other," Kaya said simply, and her voice carried harmonics it never had before. "You've become something else entirely." Another elder whispered no, Ethan said, and found his own voice now carried those same harmonics. "We've become something more. The council could not force them apart, could not sever what had been completed, and slowly, reluctantly, they accepted what Kaya and Ethan had become years later. On a colony world where humans and Velani worked side by side, two figures walked hand in hand, their bond visible in the way they moved in perfect synchronization, in the way they finished each other's sentences, in the crystal ring that glowed on both their hands. "Do you ever regret it?" Someone asked them once. Kaya and Ethan looked at each other and smiled. And when they answered, their voices blended into perfect harmony. "Never," they said as one. "We found something rarer than peace between worlds. We found peace between souls and in the singing caves far away." The ancient consciousness hummed with satisfaction, knowing that the bridge it had helped create would one day connect galaxy CHE end.